Greetings, wayward souls. They say Pine Barrens were always cursed, but the trees lean in too close, and the soil drinks more than rain. That the silence there isn't empty, it's harbouring. So light your lanterns, draw your curtains, and listen for the screams. People don't live deep in the Barrens, not anymore. The land is too poor, the shadows too long, and sometimes, when the wind shifts, you can hear it. A cry, not quite human, not quite beast. They call it the Jersey Devil. But before it had a name, it had a mother. Her name was Deborah. She lived in a crooked house near the edge of the pines, where the trees pressed close and the air smelled damp of moss and iron. A midwife by trade, a mother by necessity. 12 children she bore. 12 times she bled and screamed and stitched herself back together. Her husband was a drunk and a debtor, and the neighbours whispered that Deborah was a witch. But they still came to her when their babies wouldn't breathe or when the blood wouldn't stop. And by the time the 13th child quickened in her womb, Deborah was hollowed out. Her hands trembled, her eyes were rimmed with red. She spoke to no one, not even the priest. And one night, as lightning spidered across the sky and the wind howled through the chimney, she stood barefoot in the attic and screamed into the rafters, "Let this one be the devil." A curse? A prayer? Or a surrender? The labour came fast. The midwife said the child was born whole. A boy, slick with blood and silent as stone. But when he opened his eyes, they were pure black. Not the black of night, but of something deeper. Something that had never seen the sun. His limbs twisted, bones cracked, skin split, and his wings unfurled, leathery and wet. Hooves kicked through the straw, horns curled from his brow, and then he screamed. But not like the cry of a newborn child, like something ancient, something awoken. The midwives fled. One threw herself into the well, another clawed her own eyes out. But Deborah didn't scream, she just watched. The creature turned to her, tilted its head, and then leapt through the ceiling, through the storm, and into the trees. They say it still lives in the Barrens, that it watches from treetops, and that it remembers its mother. And that sometimes, when the moon is thin and the pines are still, you can hear it, the 13th cry. March 3rd, 1823, the ledger of Elias Finch. I have arrived in Leeds Point, a mean little village half swallowed by pine and fog. The locals are tight-lipped, suspicious of strangers. They speak in half sentences and glances. I asked after the creature, casually as one might inquire about a bear or a wolf, and was met with stony silence. One man spat at my boots and another crossed himself. They call it the Jersey Devil, say it's a curse or a punishment. I say it's a beast, and beasts can be tracked, trapped, and killed. I've brought my rifle, my snares, and enough salt pork to last a fortnight. I'll head into the Barrens at first light. March 5th. The forest is unlike any I've known. The trees grow too close, their trunks black with moss. The ground is soft, but not with rot, it's more like ash. I've seen no deer, no birds, not even squirrels. Only silence broken by the occasional snap of a branch. Last night I heard something. A cry. High and thin like a babe left in the cold. But it echoed strangely, as if the trees themselves were mimicking it. March 7th. I found tracks. Hooves, but not deer. They were too wide. And there were claw marks beside them, gouged into the bark of a tree, 10 feet off the ground. No animal climbs like that. I followed the trail to a clearing where the trees had been scorched in a perfect circle. And in the centre, a pile of bones. Human. A child, perhaps. The skull was cracked clean down the middle. I buried the remains, for I am not a godless man. March 9th. The dream's begun. I see a woman in rags, her belly swollen. She stands at the foot of my bedroll and weeps without sound. And behind her something moves, tall and winged. Awake with blood in my mouth, my gums are raw. I should leave, but I won't. March 11th. I saw it. It stood between the trees, half shadow, half shape. Tall as man, but wrong. Limbs out of proportion, its head horned, and its eyes. God help me, its eyes were like pits. Just absence. It didn't run, it didn't charge me, it just watched. I dropped my rifle and I ran. I do not remember how I found my way back to camp. My boots were on the wrong feet and my hands were bleeding. I think it let me go on purpose. March 14th. I'm leaving. I must. But the forest will not let me. The paths twist. The compass spins. I walk for hours to find myself in the same scorched clearing again and again. March 16th. Final entry. If this ledger is found, burn it. Do not read it aloud. Do not follow the tracks and do not answer the cry. It's not a beast. It's not a myth. It is a child that was never meant to be born, and it is here. January 2026. Recorded notes of Toby Crow. I wasn't supposed to be here alone. The plan was to meet up with a local guide, someone who knew the trails, the history, the safe paths through the Barrens, but he never showed. Just left a voicemail. Don't go looking for it. Some things want to stay forgotten. I came anyway. I'm recording this from a lean-to I built with fallen pine and a tarp. The light dies fast out here. The trees are so dense they blot out the sky. My phone has no signal, and the compass app just spins. But I'm not lost, not yet. I came to find the truth behind the Jersey Devil. Not the tourist version, not the Halloween mask. The real thing. The thing that made a grown man in 1823 write it's not a myth. Is a child that was never meant to be born. I found Elias Finch's ledger in a private archive in Trenton. It was water damaged, but the entries were intact. His handwriting started off neat and ended up in jagged scratches, and the last page was torn. I thought it was a metaphor for trauma or madness, but now I'm not so sure. This morning I found hoofprints in the frost, but they weren't deer. They were too wide. and claw marks high up in the bark of a pitch pine, 9 feet off the ground. I told myself it was a prank, locals messing with the outsider, but there's no tyre tracks, no footprints. And then there's the sound. It started last night, just after midnight. A cry. Distant, like a baby left in the cold. I didn't sleep at all. And today I found a bundle hanging from a branch. Feathers and twine, and something small wrapped in cloth. It was a tooth, human and child size. I'm not ashamed to say I wept. I've been in these woods for 3 days. I've seen no animals, no birds, just trees and silence. I don't think it's a creature, not exactly anyway. I think it's something older, something born and never died, something that remembers its mother and hates her for it. If you're hearing this, don't come looking. Don't follow the cry. It's not calling for help. Burlington County Sheriff's Office Incident Report. Case number 260317. Filed March 17th, 2026. Location: Pine Barrens. Subject: missing person. Field researcher Toby Crow. On March 16th, at approximately 07:45 hours, a hiker reported an abandoned campsite deep within the Pine Barrens. The site contained personal effects, audio recording equipment, and a recorded journal belonging to one Toby Crow, age 34. Last known location, Trenton, New Jersey. Crow had reportedly been researching regional folklore for a podcast series. No sign of the subject was found. Upon arrival, I observed a makeshift lean-to constructed from pine limbs and a blue tarp. The structure was partially collapsed. Inside was a sleeping bag, a backpack, and a digital recorder. The recorder was powered on but had no remaining battery, and a portable solar charger was found smashed nearby. The backpack contained identification for Toby Crow. 1 compass, 1 folding knife, several bundles of twine, and a small cloth pouch containing what appeared to be human teeth. No blood was found at the scene, no signs of struggle. No tracks leading to or from the site. The journal entries become increasingly erratic. A grid search was conducted with canine units and aerial drones. No trace of the subject was found. Dogs refused to enter a 200-yard radius around the site, and 1 drone malfunctioned entirely and crashed. The other returned with corrupt footage. Static intercut with brief flashes of what appeared to be a humanoid figure in the canopy. Locals refused to assist further. Several have warned deputies to just leave it be. 1 elderly resident, name withheld, stated, "Another one gone. Just like the others. The Barrens keep what they're owed." Case remains open. Subject missing, presumed dead. Filed under unexplained. Further investigation pending departmental review. And so they say stories are just echoes. Sounds that bounce off trees and stone until they wear thin. But some stories don't fade. Some grow teeth and wings and claws. And some stories remember your name. I left the Barrens, I think. I walked until the trees thinned, until the silence broke. But something followed, in breath, in thought. I hear it sometimes in the wind, in the hush between the words. I used to think folklore was metaphor, a way to explain the unexplainable. But now, folklore is memory. And memory is a kind of haunting. The Jersey Devil isn't a creature, it's a wound. A 13th birth that never healed. A curse that took root in the soil and grew into shadow. In pine-born dark where no birds sing, a mother wept and cursed the spring. 13 kicks beneath her skin, a devil's breath, a twisted grin. It broke the womb, it broke the sky, it screamed its name, the 13th cry. Now hooves mark paths where none should tread, and children dream of wings and dread. It watches still with hollow eyes, it waits beneath where silence lies. So bar your doors and snuff your flame, the devil comes when called by name. You've been listening to 13th Cry. Some stories are born, some are buried, and some are just waiting to be heard.